Namaste, my friends. This is Bruce Berger, talking to you again about the unity and divinity of all life and supporting you in your own deep personal self-realization process. Self-realization is called the ultimate medicine because as you deepen your connection to being, you move from a life of ennui, confusion, dissipation to a life of soul communion and a life of meaning and grounding and, most important, bliss. I speak from personal experience. So we're talking about the ultimate medicine, your self-knowledge, because without this knowledge of yourself, your inherent divinity, you're living a life that's rooted in ignorance, and you're driven by the incredible, insatiable insecurity and pain of that ignorance. So what we're offering you is the ultimate medicine, a chance to address this ignorance which runs your life and the pain and insecurity and terror, ontological terror, disconnect from being. This is at the root of your ego structure. So we're talking about rooting your life much more deeply into your inherent divinity, into being. It's really interesting that in India, we have a culture with thousands of names and faces of God and Goddess. And yet the name that's most often used to refer to your inherent divinity is the self, with a capital S, S-E-L-F. So we're talking about self-knowledge. That's all we're ever focusing on in our energy medicine, career training, and generally in our understanding of East Indian philosophy. It's very interesting because in my lifetime, there's been a profound shift in the dominant paradigm from a materialist paradigm to a paradigm based on consciousness and the fundamental nature of consciousness. It's pretty easy for you to understand that everything's energy. And in fact, in recent years, biology has come to redefine itself and say that the critical dimension that defines life, the definitive characteristic of life, is that life is self-organizing. That life, even in organisms without a nervous system, is rooted in cognizance, is rooted in awareness, is rooted in consciousness. So that cognizance, the ability to self-organize, self-generate, and self-sustain, self-create, is the basis of all life forms. Recently, a book was published called The Sentience of the Cell, which shows that even one-celled parakeets, one-celled creatures, are making these, quote, conscious decisions, are choosing to move away from toxicity and towards nourishment, are choosing to join with other healthy cells. In fact, the cell has immortal life. And it does that because each time it divides, it puts all the good stuff into one half and all the dross into the other. So there's always, so it moves into the next generation in health, and generation to generation to generation, this same DNA ultimately has immortal life. Now, if that isn't intelligence, if that isn't ultimate intelligence, I'm not sure what is. So in our energy medicine, professional training, we understand that energy is intelligence. What is an energy field? An energy field is a feedback mechanism maintaining its homeostasis. So every atom is just that. The energy moves from the nucleus out into the field, and at each point is knowledge, is potential information. Any disturbance is brought back to the core. Our parasympathetic nervous system embodies this same dynamic of connecting every dimension of the periphery to the core. Any disturbance in the periphery, the tiniest a prick of a thorn, is immediately brought to the attention of the core to self-correct. A burn, and just any threat to the integrity of the homeostasis of the organism as a whole, no matter how tiny. The core is cognizant because this awareness permeates the field. So whether we're talking about, so every atom as wholeness, as a holon, which is a self-organizing field, rests within a molecule as a self-organizing energy field, rests within a cell, rests within tissue, and nested within all of these fields are hierarchies of wholeness, hierarchies of self-organizing fields, which go on to the organism, to the ecosystem of nature, to the solar system, to the cosmos, beyond into the unity of all life. So in our energy medicine professional training, we're using the deepest insights into the dynamics of energy, into the dynamics of consciousness to support you in learning powerful and effective energy balancing techniques. In 6 short weeks, you learn 3 really powerful sessions for the sattvic session. Sattva is being, the force of equilibrium in nature. So the sattvic session restores that parasympathetic state of deep relaxation and deeply healing well-being. The rajasic session focuses on vitality, liberating the client's energy. And to give is to receive. You receive the session magnetically in your own aura as you give it, sympathetically in your own field as you give it, to experience tremendous levels of vitality and joy. And then there's the ultrasonic core session to just free up the fluidity and the mobility of this core energy, of the cerebral spinal fluid, of the cranial sutures and the sacrum. So you learn these 3 powerful energy balancing sessions in our 6-week program. Later on this summer, we'll be offering 6 weeks of somatic emotional clearing, where you're guided by higher intelligence to the key to the client's growth and well-being. And you renegotiate and restructure the client's subconscious, reframe their subconscious, create a conscious and nourishing relationship with a vulnerable part of their being. All of us, our lives are run by developmental trauma from our childhood, which we act out in school, in family, at work, in voluntary organizations. Until you address this developmental trauma, your life is being run by these unconscious forces. Our Rescuing the Inner Child course embodies a spectrum of somatic techniques which empower you to really support and facilitate the transformation of your clients' lives and to resolve important issues in their developmental trauma. So we're talking about using energy in the healing arts. We're talking about working with this fundamental intelligence. Remember, in our understanding, which we get from the sage Nisargadatta, who was considered one of the 2 or 3 greatest living saints of the 20th century in this nation of 1 billion human beings. He's most venerated amongst 1 billion human beings in Mother India. And Nisargadatta, the sage Nisargadatta, constantly has the emphasis saying, treat the life force as God. Understand that Shakti, the power of the mystery, the manifest power of the mystery, Shakti equals Prana. That the self-sacrifice of the goddess as Shakti is as Prana, is as life force. And that this life force is your immediate experience of the goddess. So we're offering you an opportunity to work with the goddess, to feel the goddess in your hands, to be an instrument of a compassionate universe by working with this powerful life force energy. That this life force is your most immediate and direct experience of this great and wondrous mystery, this great and wondrous gift of life. So I thank you for the privilege of talking to you on this level of consciousness, and I hope that you'll subscribe to our energy medicine professional training or our somatic emotional clearing where I can continue to offer you this level of consciousness as we talk about the divinity and unity of life and the inherent divinity of your own life and the value of your own deep personal journey of self-realization. So Goddess bless, may you be free, may we all be happy.